Do I see a future where the selling is going to happen by AI? I think I'd be foolish if I didn't see. I think it would be naive to think that the selling isn't one day going to happen. Nah, I can't believe it. I can't believe that a human is not going to be there in it. It's just they're going to do less and less of it.
Welcome to Confessions of a Vistage Chair. I'm your host, Ryan Hogan. We have real, behind-the-scenes conversations with Vistage Chairs who share honest stories and practical insights on leadership growth, peer advisory groups, and what actually happens in Vistage meetings. Let's pull back the curtain. You've got the full setup. Like I've been like bolting this together, but you've got the DSLR, which it sounds like you're still trying to figure out what that is. So what's over top of the screen? Is it like
So I have a teleprompter. So my camera lives inside a teleprompter, which is just a Elgato, I don't know, something, not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money in a teleprompter, which means it's got a screen underneath it and a piece of glass. And so I can put anything on that screen. And I just happen to have put the Chrome tab that we're on right now with Riverside. I've just put that on the Elgato screen, and so I'm looking at the screen through the piece of glass right at the camera.
All right, I need to level up.
And I can do cool stuff. Let me show you cool stuff I can do because it's all OBS. I can do that's me, and I can write on that screen, and I can do like a picture in picture. I can do this, and I can go. Put me at the top over there. I can do all this kind of craziness. Magic. Yeah.
I think you're, was it like a pool shark? I think you're.
Like Eddie.
I think you actually know what you're doing.
You think I'm Fast Eddie in The Color of Money? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm Fast Eddie, are you Fats? Who played Fats? Fats was Edward G. Robinson. You be Fats, I'll be Paul Newman. You know what? When I look at myself in the mirror, I see a young Paul Newman. So I think that is good casting. That is good casting. Yeah.
We'll see if we can get the package sold. I don't know. I live in LA. We'll see if we can get it done.
I think you're in the right place for that. Dreamers, the land of dreamers.
So at land of a lot of broke. It is hard to break out in LA, and I don't know how. I was just talking to my son about this yesterday. Of like there's like the super rich, and then there's like everybody that's just trying to make it, and it's a fascinating case study, if nothing else.
I'm going to make one of those statements that's pretty inflammatory. It's lazy, I think, to assume that questions like this are easily solved. And I think at the moment the Western world, because I pay attention to what's happening both sides of the Atlantic for obvious reasons. I think we assume questions are easily solved. And this growing wealth gap, of course it's a puzzle. Of course it's a terrible. And by the way, of course it will bring down the nation. It always has. What do they say? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. It always has. From the French Revolution, even Napoleon said it. A country is one meal away from a revolution. It always has. A wealth gap is one of the most toxic. So it's certainly a puzzle. It's certainly a problem. But then how do you solve that problem? Do you solve it? Because there's a great argument on both sides. There's a fabulous argument about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Fabulous argument. And the terrors of, just pick up 1984 or pick up Atlas Shrugged, right? Pick up Ayn Rand and see the dangers on the left. But there are terrible dangers on the right too, and these are, there's an argument. There are no simple solutions to this, but it's getting bigger. This wealth gap is getting bigger, and I agree with you. I have quite a woke team. So like I have about 10 people that work for me. And I'd like to think I sit on the progressive end of the spectrum. But my team is determined to be infuriated. Like they're on a hair trigger for being infuriated with people who don't agree with them. As are, by the way, a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum. And as if there's an easy solution. There's no easy solution here. Both sides are right and both sides are wrong. And I think if there was an easy solution, we'd have figured it out. It's like, you know, and you could point that lens at, you could point that laser at problems from healthcare to taxation to AI. Like this is the new one, right? AI, the perils of AI that's basically it's causing such unrest in your part of the world, Ryan, right?
Yeah.
AI is just ripping apart these industries that were based on moats of creative execution. I mean, that was the LA moat, creative execution. You know, I'm going to put all the creative executors in one place, and then no one can touch us, and that has survived for 100 years. You know, and AI has just eradicated creative execution as a moat. Now we need ideas. We're in the idea age. And I had a debate with my daughter at dinner. By the way, have you noticed how young people are so anti-AI?
Yeah.
You know, the terrors of AI and what it's doing to the environment and what it's doing to the economy. And you kind of, I get it. You know, I get it that they're the guys that aren't going to have a job. Fair enough. I understand it. But so my daughter was telling me how terrible this future is where AI is. Her argument is it erodes creativity, it eradicates creativity. Because in her mind, and I said to her, you're seeing the act of creation as the execution of creativity. And in that world, yes, you're right, AI is going to kill creativity. But I see creativity as the idea. And in my world, if I'm right, actually AI unleashes creativity, because it's if the creative act is in the idea, now we're in the age of the idea. If the creative act is in the execution, then yes, I would agree. AI has killed creativity because it's killed the act of the execution of creation. I don't know. What do you think? Where do you think creativity lives?
My former co-founder, we went out, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and we were talking about it, and he was like, do you have any fears in like entrepreneurship of like, you know, AI is going to, like, everybody's going to start a business, and then it's just, and my point to him was like, anybody can start a business. They always have. Like, are the barriers to entry coming down? Yeah. And they have been coming down for quite some time for people to be able to launch. But what I see is there's a big difference, meaning that like I look at AI as an opportunity, even on the creative side, where, you know, AI, at least what we're seeing today in like the chatbots and some of these other things is it gives you like the best of the median. And what I look at is like, it gives true creatives an opportunity to really break out, because the level of like creativity of people that are truly just using AI to like generate ideas, like the bar is going to be so low. I feel like there's going to be this enormous opportunity to elevate. And we've been thinking about that through everything. Like, you know, we've got a newsletter, we've got content we put out online, and we may use AI to brainstorm off of, come up with concepts, maybe think through like how to frame it. We don't replace like our writing and our ideas. Same thing on the recruiting. And this is just kind of my philosophy, and this might be a hot take, but like where AI is right now, you know, it is the most amazing exoskeleton for humans that we've ever had. It makes us more efficient. It makes us more effective. It can do so many things, but the act of it like replacing entrepreneurs or replacing some of these things, I don't see it. I just look at it as tremendous opportunity. But I live in a similar household as you, where I've got 4 kids who are anti-AI and have this very dark and bleak future. And I look at it as like a tremendous opportunity.
I'd say I was on a panel, an AI panel, a Vistage panel, actually. So it was we did a CEO summit in they framed it as Miami, but it was so far north of Miami that nobody from Miami went to it. All the people in Fort Lauderdale came to it. And I was asked to be on the panel to speak about sales. It was an AI panel. It had it was an interesting little mix. There were two people who were legitimate AI people. I was not one of those two, right? There was a couple of guys who really knew, like, they were really intelligent about technology. There was a tax expert, which I thought was an interesting person to put on this panel. So somebody who could speak intelligently about how to capitalize and get a tax advantage out of your AI investment, not AI, any technological investments, or really any investments, but it was just happened to be spun at AI. And then I was there to talk about growth. And the room had probably about 50 entrepreneurs in it, owners, leaders of businesses, and legit businesses. I mean, the Vistage community.
Yeah.
Vistage community is legit businesses. This isn't like a collection of people who are, marketing agent by day, barista by night. These are people who are real, like really leading $20 million, $50 million, $100 million businesses, if not more. I mean, I once had, for your audience or for whoever's watching this, I have a Vistage. I'm a member. I am the trifecta of Vistage. I am a member of Vistage. I am a speaker in Vistage groups, and I am also a Vistage Chair. All of them happened by chance. None of them. It sounds like it might have been a strategy, but it wasn't. And so I've had people in my group that have been $1 billion business. And there are some. They go real high, Vistage members.
We had a publicly traded company in one of my groups.
Yeah, I think one of the groups has got the owner of a real, like, serious baseball team, like a proper baseball team, not like I think there are different kinds of baseball teams. I don't really understand baseball. I went to one baseball match. It was the Marlins. It was very disappointing. Overall, I would have rather been at a cricket match because at least you get drunk in a cricket match. But there was, my understanding is there are different flavors of baseball team. An owner of a real baseball team, which is multi-billion-dollar worth, sits on a Vistage group. So Vistage is real companies, and we were sat in front of real CEOs, and the questions were disclosing their view that they felt like they were on the edge of. I got a sense from the questions that their view was. This is like the Jay Shetty double reflection. I was thinking what they were thinking, what I was thinking. But their view was that they were on the edge of the Industrial Revolution and they didn't want to miss out. That was kind of they were asking the kind of questions that somebody who had a weaving company might have asked in the 1800s. When Brunel and James Watt were creating steam power, and they were asking those kind of questions, which were fear-based. Am I going to be left behind kind of questions? Am I going to be replacing people with machines kind of questions? And I, at one point, said, guys, I feel like you think you're on the edge of the Industrial Revolution. This is not the Industrial Revolution. This is the Renaissance. This is the next level of creativity and humanity that's getting unlocked. So don't think about it like an English northern industrial tycoon. Think about it as like to become the Medicis. We want to be the Medicis. We have an opportunity to bring Raphael into our stable, to bring Da Vinci into the stable. This is the Renaissance, guys. A whole change to the way creativity happens, and a whole new way to express ourselves. This is the Gutenberg Bible press. Like this is changing the world in a way that isn't. I mean, all the Industrial Revolution did was take processes that humans did and automate them.
Yep.
The Renaissance did something different. It changed the way people created. And by the way, it followed a bubble. What followed it was a bubble of like liberation, advancement in all parts of art and science and knowledge, and because it doesn't just Da Vinci did more than just paint nice pictures. He devised strategy. He invented stuff. This is I think we are in the Renaissance right now, the modern day Renaissance, and I can understand the fear, of course. Hey, I own a business too. I'm a Vistage member. I own a business. But I think for sure everything that we've done today is going to be changed. All the rules are going to change of how we create value. But I find it exciting, not scary. The reason I think it would be easy to be upset right now is because I've invested, as you can see. I mean, I know I don't look it, but I'm an old guy. And and I'm like, and it's easy to think, wow, everything I've done for 30 years is about to get flushed down the toilet. And now all my moats, all the value I've created, my unassailable position in the marketplace is going to be eroded. Yeah, that's true. But what's also true is I can have an idea on Tuesday, and by Wednesday, it's living in the market, impacting the world. Yep. I think the juice is worth the squeeze. I do.
Talk to me. What's so funny about this is I think you're on the I've got 3 podcasts. We've got Confessions of an EOS Implementer. We've got Confessions of Vistage Chair, and we've got a new one coming out called Confessions of a Rainmaker. And I'll be honest with you, I have no idea which one, because you've got like hands in all of these amazing buckets. So let's talk about the sales side for just a second, okay. Because when we think about recruiting much like a sales process. And so how we think about AI is different than probably how some other folks. And so when you think about, the moats, and you think about a lot of the fear, like, I guess, how do you think about AI into the sales process, where historically, like, sales is all about relationships and people doing business with people that they like, people doing business with people they think that can solve their problems, but not an interface on that, or at least not yet an interface on that where it's like AI driven sales closing. So like, you're playing in this space right now. How do you see AI impacting and influencing and evolving kind of the sales process?
Wow, what a great question. I'll answer it with permission. I'll answer it from a sort of a core first principles point of view. So I'll do that, and then I'll develop a tactical. I'll go from there to tactics. But I think you first have to ask yourself, what is sales? And you're right. There are those people that will take very much a Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence position. Sales is a relationship game, and I will create my sales strategy all around relationship and multi-threading. And by the way, when I use that phrase relationship, it would be easy to discount it and say, okay, that's very 1950s, and it is. But that doesn't mean it's not true. I mean, it's a fundamental truth that humans are tribal, right? Humans are tribal. And that's why, if anybody wants to read a great book on sales, I would turn to Cialdini's Principles of Influence, and see all those, like social proof as a principle of influence, and tribe. That's one of the most people miss tribe because it was in the later edition. But one of the now 7 principles of influence is tribe. We do what other people around us are doing. We do with people that we resonate. Likability is another principle of influence. Liking, social proof, consistency. These are all rooted in our kind of our behavioral evolutionary sort of psychology of that all roots back to the fact that we have a genetic disposition to not wander in the savannah alone. Right? We're genetically tuned to not wander in the savannah alone. There is a genetic advantage that comes from not wandering in the savannah alone. If you wander in the savannah alone, you're very likely to get eaten by something, So I tell you what, you want to be accepted by the tribe. You want to be accepted by people or by the people around you, because that's really good for your genetics, for your ability to pass on genetics. Great to be in a tribe. And so it is true that that relationships will create status and influence, for sure. But as Rory Sutherland says, the opposite of a truth can be another truth, because then I could put down my copy of persuasion or influence, or I could put down my copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I can pick up my Challenger sales book. And in there, I can give great analysis as to how leading sellers challenge and do not in any way strive for a relationship. In fact, work hard to try and kill the relationship in many ways. It's like they will take a counterpoint of view from their prospects. And the thesis of How to Win Friends and Influence People is the sale will come from the relationship. The thesis of Challenger Sale or Spin by Rackham is the relationship will come from the sale. And as Rory Sutherland says, they can both be right. The opposite of a truth is often another truth. I believe that a seller a seller's primary responsibility is to inspire somebody to make a great decision. And it's kind of, what does that person need? And I think different people at different times need, and at different parts of the sales process, need a different manifestation of the seller. I think there are times for a relationship, and I think there are times for a challenge. I think there's if I can recognize that sales is inspiring a great decision, importantly, where a great decision wouldn't happen without my help, right? Because otherwise it's just order taking. And I have a lot of clients who say, hey, I sold a great deal yesterday, Carlos, and here's the video, and I review the video. And that was a deal that required no seller. It was an order taking exercise. Now, I'm not a purist. I'll take the money. Don't get me wrong. There's no judgment here. But don't think you sold anything. You didn't sell anything. And there are plenty of sellers who have made a career thinking that they're sellers when they're actually order takers. That only becomes a problem when they're compensated, but like sellers. You see, I think the act of selling, the act of inspiring a human to behave in a way that's in their best interest, but counter to the way their natural tendencies would take them, right? That act, that skill, that inspiration is so valuable to the world. I mean, you see it in every discipline. You see it in a teacher who can inspire somebody to act in a way that they wouldn't normally act is a highly valuable teacher. A priest, I'm not a religious guy, but a priest who can do that is a highly valuable priest. A doctor who can inspire somebody to fundamentally change the way they live in their life, or even inspire somebody to complete a course of bloody antibiotics, that they wouldn't do it without the help. That is high value. Order taking is not a high value activity. And as long as we got the comp right, I'm cool with it. Be an order taker, but then you better be at a volume, which means that you can take a smaller share because you haven't really impacted the world that much. Whereas if you are going to be a seller, it's such an act of creation, it's such an act of value delivery that it deserves a high share in value. There's a reason a good seller is earning $300, $400, $500, $1 million, more, $2 million a year. There's a reason a good seller does that, much to the chagrin of anybody who isn't a seller, who points fingers and saying, why are those guys who just go to wine parties, why are they earning all the money? It's easy to say that they shouldn't earn that money, but they are doing something so valuable that of course they should earn that money. It's when the money comes without the high value, when it's just order taking, that's where it gets dangerous, because that'll unwind the economics of a company. It's if somebody is just building a career of order taking but getting paid like a seller, That's a tricky. And by the way, convincing themselves they're a seller. They're not a seller. They're an order taker. So I believe there's a difference between order taking and selling. So have I inspired somebody to create a decision? And I'm going to use all the tools that I need to use to inspire somebody to make a decision that wouldn't happen without my help. When I walk into my son's bedroom, who's 17, by the way, 18, in fact, he's just graduated. He's 18. And have you got any teenagers, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
3 out of 4 of them are teenagers. Well, we've got 21, 17, 14, and 11.
Okay. So the 11-year-old, you still have influence without authority with the 11-year-old. That 11-year-old is going to do what you tell it to do. He or she might be upset with you. They're just starting to create a little agency at 11. But your 17-year-old, you got no authority there, buddy. Like, no authority. And so when I knock on Sebastian's door, and say, hey, Sebi, who are you talking to? I'm just talking to my girlfriend, he'll say. And I'll say, well, why don't you do your homework first and then talk to your girlfriend? He looks at me like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't understand his world. And he does not want to do the good advice that I'm giving him. Yeah. And he doubts my motive as well, which is interesting. And you see it all in the flash of in the eyes, in a heartbeat. I see all those messages communicated. What you've just asked me to do is in your best interest, not mine. You don't understand my world. You have no idea what I'm going through. I can make this decision without your help. Your help is unwelcome. All that is communicated in a glance. Just like a prospect with a seller. All that is communicated in a glance. And there was a time when I had influence with authority, where he just did it because I told him to do it. Now I've got to be a seller. Now I've got to inspire a great decision in full light of the fact that this person does not think they need my help. Like a prospect does not think they need a seller's help. And I've still got a responsibility to inspire a great decision. And I'm going to win some, Ryan, and I'm going to lose some. And that's all right. I'm going to win some and lose some. And so I think that is a hugely valuable moment. And it would be so easy for me to look at Sebi and go, hey, he doesn't want my help. He's an idiot. Easy to say that. Like I see many sellers saying, I lost that deal because the buyer was buying on price. Yeah, on your watch, buddy. On your watch, that buyer was about to make a bad decision. So easy to say that's that buyer's fault. That buyer doesn't understand what he's talking about. It's like that scene in like Glengarry Glen Ross. It's the leads. The leads are weak. The leads are weak. Have you ever seen Glengarry Glen Ross? No. Jack Lemmon plays that. So it's such a tour de force. Watch Glengarry Glen Ross. It's a tour de force from Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, Kevin Spacey, Alec Baldwin, an absolute cast to die for. And at one point, Jack Lemmon says, the leads are weak. And Alec Baldwin says, the leads are weak. You're weak. It's so easy to externalize. Like I could so easily externalize and say, Sebastian's an idiot. He's 18 years old. He doesn't understand what he's doing. His fault. He'll figure it out. But I don't think as a parent you get that luxury. And I don't think as a seller you get the luxury of just saying that guy was determined to buy on price. That guy wanted a different deal. That guy, I just don't think you get the right to externalize that. That's on my watch. That's my deal. I'm not going to say I'm going to win them all. No. For sure not going to win them all. But at least I'll know when I've won and I've lost. You got to know that or you can't get any better, right? Yep. Now, how does AI fit into this? So is it relationship? Is it human to human? Yeah, I think it is human to human. But that journey of helping, inspiring somebody to create a great decision, that journey has got so many moments in it. And most of that journey happens when the buyer is not in front of the seller. In most B2B and most B2C, actually. What is it Gary Vee says? Behind every B, there's a C. So we're all in a B2C sales role, right? We're all in a B2C sales role. But that decision that gets inspired is about 5% of that decision happens while the seller's in front of the buyer. Now, they're important 5%, but it's only about 5%. The rest of the time, you've got trust being creative online. There's moments of education that's happened. There's moments of inspiration that's happened. There's product marketing. There's performance marketing. There's brand. There's trust being created. I'll give you an example. Like if you're one of my prospects, let's imagine you were for my sales business, not for my Vistage business. If you were one of my prospects for my sales business, and let's imagine that you are the VP of sales for a recruitment company. Yeah, you're on a recruitment company. Let's imagine you're a VP of sales for a recruitment company. And you and I have a great discovery call and we get on, very well. And I've challenged you a little bit, but I've also loved you a lot. And I've made sure not to make you feel embarrassed. And I've took you apart and put you together again in all the right ways. I've protected your ego, but also made you think twice, made you think about the puzzle differently. Fabulous. And you're getting ready to discuss this with your board, let's imagine, or with the CEO or with an owner. Let's imagine your VP of sales was coming to discuss it with you. Now, for me to do my job at a level of excellence, see, I was tempted then to say to do my job properly, but that would have been way too judgmental. To do this job at a level of excellence, I can get very creative. I can prepare for you a briefing note for you to use with your CEO. Now, if I was to say to you, Ryan, would you like me to prepare you a briefing note? You're going to say no. Or you might say yes, but in your mind, you think this is going to be very biased, or you're going to think that you're going to be scared of that briefing note. You'll be naturally scared of that briefing note, about bias in that briefing note, and there'll be a political risk associated with that briefing note, with you about to go and interact with your CEO or the owner of the business. Yeah. So I'm not going to say, hey, shall I prepare you a briefing note? By the way, most sellers won't even think about it. They'll just let you carry the baton, right? Yeah. But a good seller might say, I can support this. A level of excellence, I can make a decision or make it part of my process to arm you in that discussion with your CEO in 15 different ways. And so my system, which is AI supported, in fairness, I have adopted a hell of a lot of AI. I've embraced a lot of AI in my company. So my system is going to tell me to create for you. It's going to have read the transcript of our sales call, and it's going to prompt me to send you a briefing note to arm you for your conversation on Tuesday with the CEO. And it's actually going to prompt me to send you this briefing note. It's going to write the briefing note in a way that you would want to share it, right? So it's not going to be a biased, hey, here's why you should buy Carlos. Yeah. This is going to be a true pluses and minuses, a good balanced review about whether you should buy Carlos. And it's going to get sent to you on Friday. Now, one of a few things is going to happen. You're going to read it. Well, first of all, you might ignore it, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't do it, because, it isn't Harry Potter land. It's not, everything's not got to work. It can be, sometimes some things aren't opened. That's all right. But if you open it and read it, I'm going to rely on your laziness. And all humans are lazy. I am going to rely on you reading that and going, wow, I'm going to send that to the CEO to prepare for our meeting. And now guess what? I've owned the message. I have owned me sat in Miami, you're sat in California, and you're in a phase of your buying process that I can't get near, and I owned it because I sent you a briefing note that you didn't ask for. And that's one thing out of 1,000 things that AI as a technology can unlock. Yep. It can unlock at scale excellence, whatever excellence looks like. It can unlock at scale accountability, the secret sauce of business. It can unlock at scale best practice and skills development and stuff. And so I don't think it's not about does the AI replace the human? It's about does the AI unlock a whole new level of human, whole new level. That was a long answer to a short question. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. It's brilliant.
All right, quick break, friends. Do you find it impossible to hire and retain top sales talent? Or worse, are you paying insane recruiter fees who are all using outdated hiring processes? Yeah, I was too. At Hunt to Killer, we were spending hundreds of thousands on recruiter agency fees. And after I sold that company in 2025, I started Talent Harbor. And the whole vision here was to make sales recruiting accessible to small and medium-sized businesses, because the organizations that can hire and retain world-class people are the ones that ultimately win. Most organizations rely on things like ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn, and they get hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes. But we find that the best salespeople are already perfectly placed somewhere else. And that's why our approach is to go after them. And we do that through a business model called recruiting as a service. We do not charge commissions. We do not have success fees. We don't have contracts. We don't have long-term engagements. And we become an extension of your team as expert sales recruiters. If you're tired of the same old recruiters and want to actually grow your sales team, check us out at talentharbor.com. That's Talent Harbor, TALENTHARBOR.com. Let's get your next sales superstar hired.
I think you and I see life the same way. When you think about that briefing memo, are these things that like you're brainstorming, or maybe I haven't really been a part of sales. I've been in the Navy and then I've been an entrepreneur. So maybe this is like very much a part of a normal sales process. Like, let's just look at those 1,000 things. Is AI helping you think through like what these things are? Or are you like, hey, this is a sales process. This is a good sales process. And then here are the different things out of those 1,000 that like AI is going to make you more efficient and be able to deliver that level of excellence?
I think it's a multi-featured response to that question. I think, firstly, it does help you think through it. But the first way it helps you think through it in reality, or helps me think through it, I can answer for me and for my clients. The first thing it does is it frees up some time, right? Because you need time to think about this stuff. If you just go in like fight to fight, sale to sale, there isn't enough mental bandwidth open or calendar bandwidth open to address some of this stuff. So it does a great job of freeing up mental bandwidth and time bandwidth to at least open a space for this thinking. So that's the first thing it does. Does it do the design parts? Well, it's very good at knowing what best practice is. You know, it's very, very good at knowing best practice. And it's very good, even if there's no best practice in single source codified anywhere, it's really good at drawing best practice from a bunch of different places. So, you know, it is wonderful it's a wonderful thought partner for how should a funnel run? How should a pipeline run? What sales enablement? What's best practice in sales enablement? What's best practice in RevOps? What's best practice in creativity, in creative lead generation, in performance marketing, in product marketing, in brand marketing? So it's great at pulling best practice into one place. And then because you've now got a little extra time and you've got this like super co-pilot with an IQ of 250 or whatever, you've got this great IQ co-pilot, which, you know, has no ego, but has tons of intelligence. I think then you've got I can devote some time to working with it, and then it'll execute. So then it can create the assets that go. It can help you create a roadmap. It can help you create funnels. It can help you create technology that automates a lot of stuff. or will fit within your current tech stack. It can fit beautifully within your current tech stack to automate processes and superpower you. A lot of the stuff I've been talking about really is sales enablement. It's sales enablement as a topic is really how to get the best, how to support your sellers to be most effective, from training to funnels to marketing repositories and case studies, and how to create nurture funnels and multi-step processes. And sales enablement as a topic is so powerful that I think AI is the perfect companion for sales enablement. I think AI is the perfect companion for accountability. But look at what these things are. These things all just supercharge the human. So sales enablement supercharges the human. Accountability supercharges the human. AI is a great supercharge for the human. I think, did you call it an exoskeleton? It's like Jarvis, right? It's like the Iron Man suit around Tony Stark. It is a great tool for supercharging the human. And I think that, do I see a future where the selling is going to happen by AI? I think I'd be foolish if I didn't see. I think it would be naive to think that the selling isn't one day going to happen with an AI engine where the human is. Nah, I can't believe it. I can't believe that a human is not going to be there in it. It's just they're going to do less and less of it. But the cream's going to rise to the top. So they're going to be doing the more value impactful parts of it and less of the grind and the drudgery. It's there was a wonderful ad campaign actually, and it was an ad campaign that was I think it was the Children's Foundation or the UNICEF. I think it was UNICEF. And it was fantastic. I mean, terrible images of how third world children are, having to carry water miles or work in a mine or, work in dangerous industrial. And the tagline of all of them was, I hope AI replaces my job, right? I hope AI replaces my job. It was a very powerful, emotive ad campaign, because I think it demonstrates the point that there are parts of our job that AI should replace. The drudgery, the stuff that frees up so much for the superhuman, creative, big thinking, impactful, value creating parts of the role. So if I'm one of Ryan's recruiters, right, your recruitment business, I could spend most of my day crying into my teacup and worrying about how AI was going to be a challenge for me, is a threat. Or I could get inspired and say, wow, I wonder what parts of my role, of this role, can AI supercharge for me, freeing me up to be so much more impactful, so much more valuable, so much richer. And to go back to your first comment that we made when we first turned our cameras on, does that create an increase in the rich poor, sort of like the wealth gap? Does that create a bigger wealth gap? I think it probably does, but I think it'll reflect a creativity gap. I think it'll reflect an impact gap. Now, I'm not saying that makes it moral, but I think it is ethical, at least. I think it is going to create, and that needs solving. That wealth gap needs solving for sure. but it isn't born out of greed. It's born out of impact. There's a reason Jeff Bezos has made so many billions and squillions of dollars. He's created so much. It's not unfair. It might not be right and it might be dangerous, and I'm not going to make those judgments, but it's definitely not unfair.
When you see, because you're hanging around companies constantly, whether it's in the sales training or Vistage, when you are talking to companies that may not have integrated some form of AI into their enterprise, like what's a good starting point? Like, let's say someone just got over the fear of like, oh, it's not replacing, it's enhancing, it's the exoskeleton, it's removing the barriers and allowing the team to function at a higher level of excellence. Once someone's there, like what do you normally recommend as step one?
So interesting, buddy, because today's Monday. For those of you who are watching this on a Thursday, today's Monday. On Saturday, just like 2 days ago, me and Carolina, and for those of you who don't know, Carolina's my co-chair of my Vistage groups, our Vistage groups in Miami. We co-chair our Vistage groups. And Carolina's also my wife. So you can only
there
imagine,
it is. I will see if you were going to throw that in there too.
Imagine. Yeah. And in our partnership, there is no doubt that she's the boss. But there are certain parts of the world where I have more natural skills. Okay. Bloody hope she doesn't watch this, right? There are certain parts of the world where I've got more natural skills. And in that basket of stuff where I have more natural skills is AI and technology and stuff like that. So I am pretty advanced. No, I'm not advanced. I'm an enthusiast. I'm an enthusiast with AI. And so we have our Vistage groups, and AI is, as you can imagine, a topic that some people refuse to look at, put their head in the sand, ostrich strategy, and other people are just flying with. So we've made AI a feature of every meeting, every one of our Vistage meetings. So we have AI Corner, we call it AI Corner, and either me or or the speaker, we get speakers in to speak on AI, or one of the advanced members takes an hour to talk about AI, because for sure, AI is a feature of business. For sure. I mean, you can choose to be King Canute and try and turn back the tide, or, you can be, you can decide that this is going to be a feature of the future, and I need to be good at it. It's a feature of leadership and a feature of business. And so we've made it a part of our Vistage, our monthly Vistage group, but we also have set up option only. We made an option. Any CEO who wants to join our AI group, we've created a little AI group here in Miami. And it's a mixed bag. Some people are like really good at AI, and most of them have never even switched it on. And these are CEOs and owners, guys. So CEOs, owners of serious businesses have no idea. They're hoping they're going to find somebody to delegate this to. It's like delegating culture. You can't do it. You got to own this as a leader, I believe. And so we had our inaugural AI day, went on Saturday, just gone.
Oh, nice.
About 15 CEOs in the room. And we were there from 10. Now, this is Miami, which means it didn't start till 11, but we were supposed to be there from 10. 10 o'clock to sort of 5, 6 o'clock, we just did AI day. And we just did set up the app on the machine, build something. We just wanted to come out of the day having built. Everybody had to have built something, had to have set up. And we decided, we chose Claude. So we went Anthropic, probably because I'm Anthropic. So I'm the guy teaching the class. So it wasn't a class. It was a workshop. And I got a couple of speakers in to take some parts of it. It was pre-recorded. We did some learning off people who really know what they're talking about. And then I would go around, and me and a couple of the guys who know AI would just go around, make sure everybody's got their folder structure set up, the app, They have installed it on their machine, and they'd figured out how to. And we went for Claude Code, by the way. We went straight for the real AI in Anthropic world. We went straight for Claude Code. Everybody came out with an account. Everybody came out having built something or planned the building of something. Everybody came out with one project they were working on. And so I believe, Ryan, the best way, if you're starting out in this, is pick a project that will be valuable in your organization, that is not like crazy ambitious, just something that's valuable in your organization that seems like it could be relatively easy for the AI to walk you through. And here's the magic thing, bud. The AI does most of the thinking for you, if you know how to work with it, it will guide you on how to work with it. And so I'll give you some examples. One of the people in the room was they built a, one of the people was a lawyer, and they started the journey of building an automation that would write and send an update email twice a month to their clients on what's happened in their case. That's super valuable. That's something that the data's already there. But to deliver this, you're going to have to learn some pretty cool things. You're going to have to, first of all, learn how to get AI to write something based on a pool of data. You have to teach AI how to go and grab that data. And then, so they're now like thinking about things like APIs and like that's relatively advanced. It is for an idiot like me. I mean, that's relatively advanced.
Yeah.
How to make the computer program go into another computer program and ask it questions, interrogate it, and pull out data, use that data in an intelligent way, then get another system to send that data or put a human in the loop. And then here's the magic, how to learn and get better. So the human in the loop doesn't just fix, but it also teaches the building, how to builds it better and better each time it does the job, how to do it with regularity. And then there were a bunch of others. There was somebody who was building a creative asset. They had a marketing spin. There was another person who was building a something to hold their team accountable for a certain activity. It was just wonderful to see it, but wonderful to do it together.
Yeah.
As a group of peers without any judgment, right? This is a group of peers who all wanted each other to succeed. And I think entrepreneurship, buddy, is just too hard to do it alone. Too valuable to do it alone. Yeah.
When you started bringing up APIs and things like that, actually this weekend I built it, but I didn't realize I could build it until about a month ago. We have a very simple commission structure for our sales team and our client solutions managers. Very simple. X% of this, X% of this over this, it just rolls off the tongue. However, calculating it can be a bit interesting, to say the least. And so somebody was like, oh, you should just throw that problem set into Claude. And I was like, oh, okay. So I threw it into Claude. I was like, hey, how should I think about this? And Claude was like, I can build you an app for that. I was like, you can build me an app for that? So I can build you an app for that. I was like, well, how would I do it? And it's like, well, you take this API. I was like, what's an API? Oh, go to this screen in HubSpot, connect it here. Open up terminal. What's terminal? Oh, well, you press control something else. Well, what's this black screen? Like, that took me about an hour and my mind was blown. And now fast forward a month, this weekend, I actually found about 8 hours to sit down and build it right. And I built it in Retool. And now I have a living dashboard that is pulling information via HubSpot and build.com and then computing. So it's bringing all that information in, running the formula, which we spent 4 hours going back and forth and perfecting it off of the human data that we've been paying out on. And so that's how we got it. It's plus or minus 1%. So it's somewhere between 99 and 101% on the payout. And the AI yelled at me. It was just basically like, hey, you're getting to the land of diminishing returns. Like, maybe we call this good. But it's mind blowing. I have a dashboard that someone has their own login to, and they can go in real time and look at their commissions. Sorry, I just got so excited over that, but it's crazy.
No, it's magic. And you just, my mind went to 15 different places. So with permission, I'm going to abuse my time here, and I'm going to say, listen, because I speak to a lot of CEOs, like you speak to a lot of Vistage Chairs, a lot of EOS implementers, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs. That journey that you just described so well unlocked so much value for you. And yet entrepreneurs as a whole want to delegate that, or they don't want to. They've got an instinct that this is a bit complex and it isn't where their strength is. So they're looking at ways to delegate it, either to a member of their team or worse, an agency. Now, I'm sorry if there are any AI agency watching this, and there's a place for you, buddy, honestly. And I love you dearly. And your mother's very impressed with everything you're doing, I promise you. But what a travesty it would have been if you'd have delegated that to an agency to do, or even a team member, because you didn't even know what you were delegating. You didn't know where that was going to go. You had no idea that that was going to go to you understanding what the terminal is and what APIs are and how, and that there is a point of diminishing returns. And this could be an app. You would never have been able to really grasp the dimensions of the problem you were solving had you not done this yourself. So my response to every entrepreneur and CEO that says to me, I'm going to get an AI agency to do this, or I'm going to get an expert company to do this, I'm like, whoa, stop, man. Stop. You are going to extract 1/10 of the juice out of this by externalizing it. And I know you haven't got time. None of us have got time. You just haven't got time. But this is the analogy I give often. Imagine somebody knocked on your house and said, hey, I want to buy your house. I want to buy your house. I'm prepared to pay double market value. Right? You might say, wow, like, cool. Yeah, sold. But if that person was wearing a shirt with Shell Oil written as a logo, you might go, wait a minute. Is there oil under my house? Like, and then you're going to start spending time figuring out if you got oil under your house, right? You're going to figure that out. And you don't know how to find oil. None of us are experts in how to find oil, but you'll figure it out. Definitely figure that out. I just don't think I think we lose so much of this opportunity is squandered or put in the hands of someone else when we delegate this journey, this AI journey that we're all on. We're all on it, whether we want to be on it or not. We are, by delegating it, or even worse, paying for an agency to come and do it, because we don't even know what we don't know. We don't know what this thing is. So yeah, look at what you've now done, and it's unlocked a whole new level of creativity. Now, here's the other thing, because this pendulum can swing the other way now. If you're anything like me, buddy, all you want to do now is build, right? Yeah. So there is a danger we forget how we create value in the world, right? And I've seen this in sellers. They're inside of two camps. They're either anti-AI, and so they're like riding a unicycle they're going to be riding a unicycle from a century ago and wondering why they're losing a race. Yeah. Or they're on the other end and they're not actually doing any of their job. They're just building stuff in AI. We need there's a path to navigate in the middle. Don't forget what made you successful, but don't ignore the opportunity of AI to supercharge those things that made you successful. Now, you can't get away from, don't stop what made you successful. Just find ways AI can supercharge that, I would say.
I love that. And I 100% agree with you. So like when we thought about bringing an agency in-house to automate, and what I found is that the biggest part of automation is making sure that the process is where it needs to be, because you can automate anything, but if there's not a good process in place, then you're just automating inefficiency. And so how we're thinking about it now is we've got this crawl, walk, run. So we're in the crawl phase and everybody has a license and everybody has permission to play. And we're bringing in a training person to just give us a quick brief. Quick as in three sessions, 2 hours long. And we'll just kind of go through all the things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use those same training folks, and we're going to create cohorts in the company. And they're going to go through exactly what you just talked about, which is like, as a cohort, cohorts as in they have the same process. So all of our recruiters will be in a cohort, our salespeople. And the whole idea of this is like, they will work together to learn and develop an agent over, 3 or 4 months. And then that'll hopefully, because I'm going to go through this with them, I'm so excited. Hopefully that'll just unlock a whole new thinking of like, I'm a recruiter. What's the best and highest use? What do I love to do? Vet candidates and try and figure out who's the best of the best. Great. What do I not like doing? Scheduling all of these meetings and getting people on the line, writing call notes, whatever those things are. And then we'll start building automations and plugging in things. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like you and I see life pretty much the same way in a lot of respects.
How do I, the question is kind of, where does the human spill value? I can use AI to catch that, to create like perfection or excellence in terms of human performance. And where is a human doing things? Because we all do it, right? We all spend time on $10 an hour tasks and $20 an hour tasks. And then there are other times we're on $200 an hour tasks, or we're creating tons more value. So how can I free up time for more of those $200, $300, $400 an hour tasks? If not up to $2,000, $5,000, right? We can create. So how am I going to use AI to make me better at what I do as a human? To take out the stuff that's the low value added stuff that I'm doing, so that I've got more time for the high value added stuff. And where is there an opportunity to do things, completely different? I know we've spoke about Jeff Bezos before, and so I run the risk of exhausting this analogy, but I like the way Jeff Bezos approaches questions like this, rather than asking what's going to be different in the future. He asks himself what's going to be the same in the future. So when I don't know if you've ever read this story, but it was very interesting. He asked himself, what's going to be the same no matter what? Customers are always going to want stuff quick. Customers are always going to want good pricing. Customers are always going to want good choice. Like, if we ask ourselves what's going to be the same, so in like your world, candidate, you've got basically two people that you sell to. In Carlos's lens of help people make a great decision, you've got two worlds there, right? You've got candidates that you are selling a role to, and you've got clients who are trying to fill a role. So what's going to be the same for companies? They're going to want the best talent. That's always going to be the case. They're going to want great cultural fits. That's always going to be the case. They're going to want people that are both willing and able. They're going to want great attitudes. They're going to want great skills. Those things are never going to change. Mm-hmm. Candidates are always going to want opportunity. They're always going to want development. They're always going to want economic freedom. They're always going to want progress. They're always going to want to feel valued. They're always going to have a family too. So this is a great example. I was speaking to a recruiter the other day, and I was talking to them about this, and I was going through his process, his sales process. And we were talking about the candidates, about his candidate end of the puzzle. Yep. And I'm like, how did you inspire a great decision from your candidates? How did your team inspire a great decision for your candidates? And he said, I don't know what you mean. So I said to him, hey, listen, I know that when they're talking to your recruiter, they're making a decision like, I'm going to go and work for that company. But how are you sensitive to the fact that then that candidate has now got to go home and have dinner with their husband or wife, and they've got kids. And that new role might require a move to New York. How are you supporting not only the candidate, but the candidate's husband or wife or kids in this decision? And he said, well, I don't know. What do you mean? And I said, well, you know what, buddy? In this age of AI, your recruiter can come off that call with the right questions to have asked in that call. And the AI can pull that transcript and it can write a briefing memo for the spouse about the role, the opportunities in the role, the implications for the family in the role, the top 5 schools in that part of New York, the career, a list of 15 different moving companies. And I don't know, I don't know this world of recruitment, but I know that the AI can create in a heartbeat can close that gap for that candidate who might have made a decision in front of their recruiter, but now they've got to go and sell this decision at home. How can you support that? AI can be a massive help in that. That can be a huge part of your sales process on the candidate end of really supporting that decision in the part of the candidate. Is that crazy to think that, Ryan?
No, I love that. Now, I will tell you, by trade, I'm not a recruiter, but there are more stakeholders in that decision-making process than just the candidate. And so there is things that are happening on the back end. Also, you just brought up a great point in recruiting is like just to get a candidate on the call, we're already selling. We are saying we have an opportunity that is worth a 30-minute conversation. So whatever you're doing for that 30 minutes, it is more valuable for your time to spend 30 minutes with us to talk. The whole entire recruiting process is sales. And it's interesting, like what you're getting into is like later in the process, once they're becoming finalists and there's real decisions that are right around the bend. Yeah, like there's more people than just that candidate to sell.
You got to multi-thread it as if you were selling SaaS to an enterprise, right? You got to multi-thread that. And it is also interesting that you raise a great example there. You're going to get on 30 minutes. So a recruiter's going to get 30 minutes with a candidate. There's a great sales book called Sell Like Crazy. It's by a guy called Sabi Subri. He's an Australian guy. He's most people will recognize him. We might not know the name, but they'll recognize his face from YouTube and stuff. He's very good. And he basically says, if you want somebody to do something, if you want your prospect to do something, you've got to sell the shit out of it, right? This is his philosophy. So if me as a recruiter, if I want my candidate to, first of all, make 30 minutes, but more than 30 minutes, with a camera on, not driving home in the car, not with camera off, not while they're also answering emails over here, and like dedicate 30 minutes to really focus. If I want them to do that, I've got to sell the shit out of them doing that. So how do I do that? Well, if it was a prospect, here's what I would do. I would book the meeting, but then I would send what we call a VSL, a video sales letter. It would say to that prospect, hey, here's what you're going to get out of this meeting. Here's how to prepare for it. Here's what the likely outcomes of that meeting is going to be. It's going to prep the prospect for the discovery. The same applies to a candidate. If I've booked a candidate call, if I'm going to view it like sales excellence, like I want to move my sales game to a point of excellence, well, then there's going to be a video going between booking the interview or the discovery and the candidate selection, 30 minutes. There's going to be a video that gets sent, which says, hey, here's what this means to you. Here's why you should take it seriously. Here's what's going to be. It's going to be tempting for you to be doing something else, or take this call when you've got other responsibilities bubbling around you. I understand that, but it's probably a bad idea. Here's why it's a bad idea. And in Sabi Subri's language, I'm going to sell the shit out of them turning up to that 30 minutes undistracted, well prepared, because it's so valuable for them to be undistracted, well prepared. And And without me selling the shit out of it, what's likely to happen? Because we're humans and life is going to hit us like a tidal wave. So it is very likely that without that nurture, the candidate is going to turn up half focused, unprepared, not because they're a bad person and not because they're not interested, just because life's complicated. Oh. So I have to manage that candidate's time for them. Sell the shit out of that 30 minutes. I've got to do it. Yeah. Now, if I don't do that, well, the world is going to bifurcate. Because don't make any mistakes. Everybody's life is complex. So my world is going to bifurcate if I don't manage this issue. It's going to bifurcate into those people who do prepare and focus and dedicate time and prioritize, and those people that don't. And those people that do are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're probably doing it because they're not happy where they're currently working. So the processing of itself is going to create a market for lemons. Anybody who's done any economics understands a market for lemons. If I don't manage this issue, then I am going to, in the very incentive structure of my process, I am only going to get lemons on my candidate pool is going to index lemons rather than giving a true homogeneous candidate pool that I can then find great people within. Because those people who are engaged well, good, responsible people who have got a very well engaged in their current role, they are going to be way less likely to prioritize this 30 minutes with a recruiter, right? They're just going to be. And so my process is going to create a market for lemons. Market for lemons is a beautiful economic theory, by the way. Everyone should read it, The Market for Lemons. So like Sabi Subri says, if I sell the shit out of the next, whatever that action is, if you want a company to click something on your internet, you've got to sell the shit out of it. If you want them to turn up, you sell the shit out of them turning up. If you want somebody to focus and dedicate time and be prepared for a meeting, you sell the shit out of them being focused, prepared, and spend time preparing for a meeting. Nobody's going to do it. Or rather, the wrong people are going to prioritize your next step if you don't sell the shit out of it.
Carlos, I love this. I feel like we could go another 2 hours. I feel like we need a part 2. But here's something real quick, which is I have no idea how to promote you. Let's promote some stuff here. Are you looking for people in your amazing Vistage group? Are you looking for people on the sales train? What do you want to tell the audience today?
Do you know what? I'm a greedy bastard, Ryan. I want everybody. But I'm greedy for impact, not greedy for money. The beautiful part of that is when the impact comes, the money follows. But I am greedy for impact, not greedy for money. So do you know if somebody's watching this and they have a sales challenge, a scalability challenge, usually it's a founder who feels they're in sales jail. They're in they can't recruit and train and grow a sales team, and they're frustrated by it. I love solving sales puzzles, and I have a beautiful consultancy that solves sales puzzles for companies. We create extraordinary value, and we unlock the potential that I believe limitless potential in nearly all businesses. They have this limitless, especially in this world of AI, limitless potential. So I've got this wonderful that works globally. I have this global, and I've got an army of wonderful sales trainers, sales coaches. We fix sales enablement systems. We fix the tech stack. There's a bunch of stuff. We fix strategy. We even stray into marketing, because I don't think you can be good in sales without having a marketing dimension to the function. So we stray a little into marketing as much as we should for supercharging sales teams. But then we have this wonderful leadership solution, which is Vistage, and all that. And I have leadership solutions that sit outside Vistage of two, of course, but Vistage is our mainstay. So if you're in Miami and you own a business, or you're in Miami and you know somebody who owns a business, then wow, the unlock that can happen at a leadership level by putting yourself in a room of peers who become your sort of non-exec advisory board is extraordinary. I've seen it over, well, we've been in market 65 years for a reason. We're the OG peer advisory group, leadership development group, 47,000 members globally. But this is a high touch, in-person solution. So the geography is relevant. Me and Carolina work South Florida. But so if you know a business owner in South Florida, they would love a conversation with me or Carolina about how to unlock the leadership in their business. If you want to unlock sales, I would love to talk to you about how to unlock sales.
Love it. Last question. They just listened to all this. They're like, this is incredible. I either know someone for the Vistage or I want to unlock sales. What is the easiest way for them to get a hold of you?
Do you know, you can email me, and I'm sure in the show notes you can put my email. I even have a link tree, which my team, my marketing team put together this beautiful link tree, which means lots of different buttons you can click and interact with me. Yeah. But really the reality is, if you just go and follow me on LinkedIn, I post every day on LinkedIn. I post personally. They're my words. They're not a marketing person's word. And listen, nothing wrong with marketing people, but it is literally my view of the world from my little crow's nest. I'm blessed that I have a rich vein of clients to hunt for lessons from. So I have this embarrassment of riches in terms of my client base and in terms of the puzzles that we solve. So I have an interesting view. Not everyone's going to agree with my interesting view, but I have an interesting viewpoint for sure. With both my sales development and my Vistage seats, I can sort of see through two different wide angle lenses. And I post every day, and it's a great place for you to sort of see if my message resonates at all, if my philosophies resonate. You can always DM me on LinkedIn, connect with me. That's dead easy. There aren't many Carlos Garridos in Miami. Well, actually, there are a lot of Carlos Garridos in Miami. But if you just search Carlos Garrido, we'll put that in the show notes too, Ryan. My LinkedIn profile. Yeah.
I love it. Carlos, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share we covered the gambit on this. We went from like AI, we went sales we went sales philosophy, the challenger. So thank you for taking the time to come on.
Namaste. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.